5, one thing I want to manage you the homework we'll do on next Wednesday. I send an email to the whole class about the hints of question 9, part B of chapter 3. Well, if you have difficulty to deal with this question about trend adjusted exponential smoothing method, you may want to refer the email I just sent to you guys. Okay? Definitely you can come to my office or you make appointment with Michael, and I think both of us should be able to address your concern about the trend adjusted exponential smoothing method. Any other question about the homework so far? No? Okay. The reason is Rin is coming to my office, right, to ask me this question, right? Yeah. I already sent an email. You can check your email. You should be able to see that. Okay. Any other questions? No? So, on Monday's class, we have finished this example. We have calculated the break-even point for 1 machine, 2 machines, 3 machines. We also discussed if we have a pretty accurate demand forecast, how to determine which capacity we should go. Right? General idea is that we want to use many talks, right, to find the total profits. Well, to maximize our total profits, then that is the capacity we should have. So here is the relations of cost volume analysis. You can see fixed cost is just a horizontal line. It doesn't change no matter quantity Q. Right? And the variable cost is a straight line, increasing straight line. That means if you produce more, you have higher variable cost. Total revenue is also a straight line. And then the profits, or the break-even point first. The break-even point is the point, the total revenue line cross the total cost line. Here is the dash line is total cost line. So these points make no difference between the cost and the revenue. So we have 0 profits for this break-even point. Well, the red line is the profit line. Well, you can see when we pass the break-even point, we have positive profits. When we are below the break-even point, we just keep losing money. And then also if we have 2 different alternatives, like for example buy machine or hire people or outsourcing, then we can also calculate the break-even points of these 2 alternatives to see which points make no difference. If our quantity is there, okay, you can either choose buy machine or hire some people. But before or after this break-even point, then definitely the performance of different alternatives are different. Clear? With this graph to show that? Yeah. So you can see this, the graph show how we get break-even point. We have the formula, we already have formula, but I also want you to understand, okay, that's break-even point is the intersection point of these 2 functions, total cost, total revenue. And if we consider the example we have studied on Monday, we have 1 machine, 2 machines, 3 machines. You can see that the total cost line are different with different capacity. Understandable if we go back to the example, right? Because the fixed costs are different. It's not a linear relationship. It's not mean double the cost, fixed cost, when we move from 1 machine to 2 machines. So that's why if you see this total cost line, they're not the same line, right? For 1 machines, 2 machines, and 3 machines. And then how do you get the break-even point? You know, think about the first one, we see that's the 1 machine. The break-even point is already out of boundary. 32, right? It's already out of boundary. Like 2 machines, 50, 3 machines, 67. So that's the break-even point. So from graph, it's pretty easy to see, right? Given the total cost line for different number of machines and the total revenue line, then the cross point is break-even point. So the capacity alternatives sometimes involve step costs, which costs increase stepwise as potential volume increase. This node is really fixed. There are some assumptions if we want to use this method to find the best capacity plan for us. So it's very useful if certain assumptions are satisfied. For example, we only consider 1 product. Okay. So that means like revenue per unit and cost per unit is fixed for one product. Well, this model can be easily expanded to multiple products, but when we have multiple products, the total revenue and the total cost you calculate in different way because, for example, total revenue, let's find a simple one. Well, if we have two products, so that will be R1 times Q1 plus R2 times Q2. Well, R1 is the revenue per unit for products 1. Q1 is the quantity for products 1. Similar, Q2 is the quantity for product 2. Right? So you have to do the same thing for the total cost. And then you also need to calculate break-even point, right? That's two variables, Q1 and Q2, which will make the case a little bit tricky. But the general idea is like that. So we only consider one product in our simple model. We also have this assumption, everything we produce can be sold. Everything we produce. Sometimes this can be an interval I give it to you guys, or the range, like we produce 50 to 70. Okay, if that's the range, we can sell. Okay, but if the question didn't specify the range, then the assumption is there. Okay, no matter you produce how many, from 0 to 90, you can sell all of them. The variable cost per unit is the same regardless of volume. Is that a strong assumption? Do you believe it's true? The variable cost per unit is the same, no matter how many you produce.
Well, it's the same product, then, yeah.
Yeah? We think it's reasonable assumption. Agree? I think it's reasonable if the range is small, right? But it's not so reasonable. We talk about economical scale, okay, and also this economical scale. So when we continue to increase, we push very hard. The variable cost can increase because people work overtime, and the machines need maintenance. So it can change the variable cost. The fixed cost is like rental cost is right there. So I would say if your range is small, it's okay, this assumption. Otherwise, you have to consider the variable cost range. Fixed costs do not change with volume change, or there are step changes. So it's like jump from one machine to two machines like we have seen. The revenue is the same regardless of volume. That's pretty easy to satisfy this. That means your selling price is fixed. You don't change your selling price. But company may change that. If they produce more, can sell more. Revenue per unit is more than the variable cost per unit. This definitely makes sense. Otherwise, why you want to produce this stuff if your profit is negative, right? Doesn't make any sense. So I would think about a strong assumption here for this method is first one, everything can be sold. That's a very strong assumption. Everything you produce can be sold. Right? And I also think the variable cost is the same, it's another assumption. Yes, can be easily violated. But if you think in your situation, most assumption can be kind of satisfied, then you can go ahead and use this method. Financial analysis method. Well, just briefly review, introduce this method. Many of you must already know this method by studying the finance class. The cash flow is the difference between the cash received from sales and other sources. The cash outflow for labor, material, overhead, and tax. The present value is the sum in current value of all future cash flow of an investment proposal. So in your finance class, you must do that thing. Well, I did that when I took MBA finance class back in Purdue, right? My professor always asks us, okay, let's say you want to invest $1 million to buy a machine, right? This machine has the lifetime like 20 years. Then you calculate the present value of this investment. Give me $1 million investment now, and then you maybe increase the profits like $100,000 per year after 20 years. Also, you calculate the APR, right? So the interest rates, and then depreciation of the machine, and then come back all this current value if you make this decision. And then we have different decisions, right? We have different choice, like buy one machine, $1 million, invest $500,000 to have like 20 employees and outsourcing, and then you calculate the current value for all these three different alternatives. Well, which one has the highest current value? That's the one you should choose. Okay. You can see that's different because it's considered depreciation, it's considered interest rates, and so it's considered very long term. It's very different with the cost volume analysis method, which is like it's 1 year. We consider 1 year. Capacity planning is so important, okay, because it's a long-term decision. It's very money consuming, and we need to build flexibility. And we also introduce the bottleneck management. And sometimes capacity contraction is necessary. Okay, that's the end of chapter 5. Any question about chapter 5? No? But that's the reason initially I want you to have exam next week, because we already finished all the 3 chapters this week. Okay. But anyway, probably give another weekend for you to review is not a bad idea. Okay. Any questions, comments? Easy? This chapter? No? Not easy? Okay. Compared to chapter 3, it's easy, right? No? Like chapter 3 better? Okay. Then we'll see another easy or hard chapter, which is the chapter 8. I like this chapter is that, well, this chapter introduced different methods, like 3 main methods to help you make the decision to choose location. And also, location decision is very important. When you think about capacity planning, some students may say, oh, it's not my business because I'm far away from the high level to decide the capacity, right? $1 million investment probably lasts 10 years. I won't touch in this field. Yeah, that's true. But for location planning, it's still a long-term decision. But see, think about it. Even you open a small convenience store, right? You still need to make this decision. Your small business can be affected by this decision. So you don't have to go to the C-level of Fortune 500 company to make the long decision. But for location, right, your parents have a family business, they want to make open a new site, you can give the suggestion. Okay, use some method or some idea we learn in this chapter. Okay, which size we should open a new retailer store. Objectives. So we want to identify some main reasons, right? Why the organization needed to make location decision. There's 3, not 3, I mean, I can list at least 3 major reasons. One is that you need the expansion, right? Your current store, the demand exceeds your capacity, and your current store you can't expand. And you want to open another, like say, full line in Pembroke, right? And the second reason can be shrink. Your business are not doing so well, right? You don't want this big, right, facility anymore. Right? You probably want to relocate or change the layout, whatever you do. And some other reason is the shift of markets. For example, you're not doing very good in Lumberton, but Pembroke is booming, and you want to relocate your store from Lumberton to Pembroke. Let's say that, right? So there's several reasons why we need to do the location planning. And no matter you're working for a big company or small company, you work for yourself, you still need to make this decision. Okay? Why location decisions are important? It's, again, very similar to the capacity planning. Location planning, do you think it's a long-term decision or short-term decision or mid-term decision? For location planning, what do you think? Long-term, short-term, mid-term? Long-term, Taylor? Long-term? I agree with you guys. Why is long-term?
Because you don't want to move your business around. Like,
Yeah, it's not just you don't want, because it's so expensive, right? It's so expensive and also sometimes impossible to move around, right? So definitely it's a long term. Even a convenience store, right? We have seen so many gas stations open, close. Well, that's a lot of money they lose if they close like 3 or 5 years, right? But we see that happen, right? Not mention big company like Food Lion. I live in Fayetteville. There's a Food Lion close to my house, like 3 minute driving distance. They closed 2 years ago. I think they lose a lot of money, but they have to close these sites. The performance is not so good for this Food Lion. So it's so expensive, so it's long-term decision, even for your little store, right? Even that you only rent a property for 1 year, but the leasing cost is still, right? Discuss options available for location decision, and also examples of the major factors affect our location decisions. We'll also discuss the decision process. And finally, technicals, different models to help us to solve the location planning problems. Why we need to make location decision? Several reasons. Okay, if we need a new facility, expand the market, growth in demand, or depletion of basic inputs require relocation. For example, your supplier, they move, or they are not doing good, so you change your supplier. If you are doing the manufacturing, you want to be close to your supplier, very close. Shifts in markets. Well, if we don't do very well in North Carolina and South Carolina is booming, then you should consider relocation. Cost of doing business, and make relocation attractive. Having tax benefits, right? So subsidy from the local government, local community, or maybe the labor quality is better in this region. There's several reasons, right? So you want to go to a particular location. It's very important strategically because the decision is tied to organization strategy to keep the low cost and also convenient to attract market share. So there are two factors we should always keep that in mind when we decide location. One is your cost. Well, you can definitely go to the Fifth Avenue in Manhattan if you have a lot of money, right? You can purchase the flagship store of Macy's if you have. I'm not sure whether they want to sell that, but Fifth Avenue, you definitely can get a store if you have huge money. But for most of companies, most of us, it's impossible. So the cost is one factor. Another factor is whether it's convenience for customer. Convenience to attract market share, right? It's customer. So the cost and the customer. Do you think we can have both? We
Not
can do
all
both well?
Not all the time.
Not all the time. Okay. So, do you think they are a little bit contradict to each other? The cost and easy access to customer, right? Because most likely, like if you do the business in Fifth Avenue in Manhattan, it's very expensive. But the customer you get in that Fifth Avenue can be everywhere, everybody in the world. Because you can think about JFK, there's so many. Well, I'm not sure whether you guys have visited JFK. I went back to China, come back, it's transition JFK. It's crazy. JFK is so crazy, right? You can hear like 10 different languages around your ear. Probably I don't understand any of them, but I can tell there are different languages. So if you are in the Fifth Avenue in Manhattan, definitely, okay, the customer quality is much better. The customer quantity is much larger, but the cost is a problem. On the other hand, if you open a store in the in the downtown Pembroke, in the rural place of the Pembroke or Robeson County, well, you can expect the cost is very, very low, but also demand can be a problem. We also need to make our effective capacity and flexibility. Well, it's also related to capacity when location affects capacity. The long-term commitment is require the investment. It definitely has influence on our competitive advantage. The location of your company also very important for her whole supply chain. Why? Your location is important for the whole supply chain. Let's say you are doing the wholesaler, so you are not face customer directly, but you are not manufacturing. So you purchase, okay, a lot from a manufacturer and sell them to the retailer. You are the wholesaler in the middle position. Why your location decision affects supply chain? Anybody? Is my question hard or not clear or?
Cost once again.
Manufacturing, wholesaler, that's your position. Retailer, right? So if you, that is you. You make a decision. That's your wholesaler, right? You make a decision. Well, you want to have this warehouse, most likely warehouse or facility center. Why you want to open that? You can open any place, right? why it matters for the whole supply chain. It definitely matters to yourself, right? For example, if your manufacturing is like in California, you have your wholesaler in Carolina, then you have a lot of cost, transportation costs. But even as you are in California, okay, it still affects the supply chain, your decision. Why? You're in the middle position. How can your location decision affect the supply chain? I feel it's pretty straightforward, but yeah.
Because like wholesalers connect the manufacturer with the retailer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In the same supply chain, as you said.
Transportation time?
Transportation time, very good, Michael. Transportation, right? So if you are very far away from both manufacturer and retailer, it will make customer wait extremely long time, right? Because when you think about it, if manufacturing is in California and the retailer store in Seattle, you are in North Carolina, then they have to first come to North Carolina and ship back to the West Coast to get the customer. So definitely affect customer and affects the market share for these products. Okay, for the whole supply chain. Right? And some other reasons you think about, right? So let's say, okay, it's a straight line. So let's think about how do you make a straight line? Virginia to South Carolina, right? So, and then let's go to I-95. So you can choose probably any place in I-95 in this area should be fine, right? Alternative, because it's like straight line from Virginia to South Carolina. But there's a difference. If you choose your facility in Virginia, that means, okay, you are very comfortable to get the products from manufacturer. On the other hand, if your facility is in South Carolina, retailers don't will like that. So it really depends. For example, if the transportation is very expensive when you ship to a retailer, for example, frozen material, perishable good, right? Then you definitely, usually, okay, the first shipments manufacturer, they have high technology to make sure their products is fresh, shipped to you. But if you are in Virginia, then you from Virginia to South Carolina, it's not too far away, but it still can make something wrong with your product, especially food. Then you should consider, okay, we should be close to South Carolina, to our retailers. On the other hand, if the pallets of the products are easy fragile when shipped from manufacturing to a wholesaler, okay, or some components is fragile, and then you do some assembly job here and make it stable, then you want to be close to manufacturing. Otherwise, it's also the quality issue happen, long transportation, right, distance. So all these reasons can definitely affect the supply chain. So it's not your decision, it's the whole supply chain's decision. The objective, okay? So two factors again. It's first the profits, of course. Second is customer service. Usually they are contradicting each other, but we want to have a good balance between the cost and the customer service. And next, we want to find a number of accepted location from which to choose. Or if you tell me you only have one choice, I would think it's very rare. Usually you have multiple choice for location, right? If you only one choice, probably you just narrow your mind to just only look at this one choice, right? So you should have different choices. And you also need to consider position of supply chain like we discussed, right? Whether it's close to the end customers, then customer service is most important, right? Close to customer. Middle, right? You probably want to be close to both supply and the markets. Beginning, should be very close to raw material to save transportation costs. Well, if you are doing e-business, then it's pretty flexible for your location. Supply chain consideration. Okay. So we have to consider number of location of suppliers, production facility, warehouse, and distribution center. There are two typical model for distribution. One is called a centralized distribution system. Another is called decentralized distribution system. Okay. Anybody can tell me what does centralized location system mean? Anybody know that? Centralized.
It's like the center.
Center?
Everything happens in one place.
Huh?
Everything happens in one place.
Everything happen in one place, very close, but we are talking about distribution center. So what do you mean by everyone, everything? In fact, we're talking about products, right? When you are at distribution center, is you distribute the products, right? Centralized system, like Michael mentioned, is that, okay, this products only has one distribution center. It satisfy all the retailer store, all of the country, or maybe even all of the world. That's centralized. Only one facility handle this product, satisfy demand for all your markets. It can be a regional markets or the world markets, right? But that's centralized. Decentralized, different, right? For example, decentralized as we have D2 here, just satisfy this region. D1 here, satisfy this region. So that's decentralized. Okay, now we have two models, right? Centralized, decentralized. What's the benefits if we choose the centralized distribution system? What are the potential benefits?
Centralized?
Centralized. So it's one distribution center satisfy the demand of all of the country. No advantage?
All your products are in one place, so any customer from anywhere can be satisfied by what you have.
Right. But I would think, and even decentralized, you probably can still do that. Right?
Unless
Yes.
you have
Yeah.
issues with it, how you get the stuff from your suppliers.
Sure. Supply is a very good point.
Lower operation cost.
More operation costs.
Lower
Lower,
operation
lower.
cost.
Okay. Problem. Why do you think it's lower operation costs? I agree. Your conclusion is correct. But why centralized location where it has a lower operation cost per unit? Cost per unit. Why?
Because you're keeping one building.
Yeah. That's the terminology we have learned last class. It's called economy of scale. Right? If you do all the stuff in one location, you can have the economy of scale, right? Otherwise, if you have like 4 different distribution centers, they only handle like a portion of the whole demand. They lose this potential saving by increase the economy of scale. Okay, that's very typical reason. Another reason is quality. Usually, if we did that in one facility, we concentrate or focus on quality control, and most likely our quality is better than we distribute to different distribution centers. Okay, what's the advantages for decentralized system?
Transportation costs.
Transportation cost, very good, very sharp observation. Of course, right? Transportation cost is much cheaper. Why you want to? You set the warehouse in Kentucky. Well, it's still a long travel distance from Kentucky to California or Kentucky to Vermont. Anything else? Think about customer.
They don't have to wait for their product.
Very good, Joseph. Right. Waiting time is usually shorter. Average waiting time is shorter for customer if you use a decentralized system. So you can see both these two systems has constant pros. Okay, and also it depends on company size. For example, if you're a small company, it doesn't make too much sense to have multiple distribution centers, right? Each center only handle 100 units per day. Doesn't make any sense. But if you're a big company, you have nationwide markets like Amazon, definitely they should have a lot of different warehouses. Rins?
Yeah, sorry, what was it you said about economies of scale and the centralized?
Economic of scale?
Yeah.
Okay, we already closed the chapter 5 slide.
Well, I know it's like if you save money the more if you produce a lot of the product, but what were you saying about with the centralized?
Because centralized, all the products are handled, all the units are handled in one location. You think about if our demand for the whole nation is 4,000, right?
Yeah.
That means this center every day will process 4,000 units of these products. Instead, if we have 4 distribution centers, that means each center only handle 1,000 units. And if we handle 4,000, the cost per unit usually is much lower than we handle only 1,000. Agree? Means, right? So that's its economic of scale. Right?
Okay.
Yeah. But definitely this can have a problem if you exceed this optimal quantity, right? We discussed in last chapter capacity, right? If you centralize the position, you have over demand, then it also can create problem. You should go different distribution center. Okay. There are several options for location decision. Well, you can expand an existing facility if it's possible. I was thinking about downtown area is really hard. Okay. Add new locations while retaining existing facility. Many companies do that. Shut down one location and move to another. Maybe you don't move on, you just shut down. Like Full Lion did that close to my home. And the last one, do nothing. Well, here's very interesting. When I first see this slide, I also think about 1 or 2 minutes. Think, okay, why the fourth option is listed here? We know that if the fourth option, do nothing, should be listed in any management class, any decision. Well, you can decide whether to hire a person or not hire a person. You can decide whether to increase salary or not increase salary. If you say, I want to re-evaluate your salary. But if you don't want to increase or change my salary, why you want to re-evaluate my salary, right? But here, why is specified here? We know it's always a choice, but most situations we don't mention this choice. I do nothing. Why here? It's least clearly here. The fourth option, do nothing. And it's redundant, right? Everybody knows that.
Demand may have peaked for a certain reason, which you don't think is long-term, so that if you spend a whole lot of money, you might not get that return on investment. So sometimes you just do nothing and just wait for to level back out again.
Yeah, Alan has illustrates a very good scenario about the temporary increase of demand. Then it's probably better to do nothing. You think about Alan mentions that the reason you don't want to increase the demand if you only increase capacity by open a new location. For temporary increase of demand is that any change for a location usually is expensive. No, so that's why it's specified do nothing, because if you have to do something, 1, 2, or 3, any of them, very expensive. You should be very cautious. Keep that in mind, especially for location decision, and then also for capacity planning. For long-term decision, always keep that in mind. Do nothing is an option, can be a good option. You don't have to do anything, because you do anything can be wrong, can be worse than do nothing. Right? So let's keep that in mind. But we don't say do forecasting, do nothing, because, well, it's a short term, right? You should do something, right? You re-evaluate. But location planning, keep that in mind, because it's so expensive for any mistake you make. Global location. Well, there are 2 key factors contribute to why so many companies want to go globally, right? Open a site, retailer store overseas. The different trade agreements, such as NAFTA, North American Free Trade Agreements. Do you guys know which countries are in this agreement, NAFTA?
Mexico, Canada, and the U.S.
Even it's called North America, in fact, it's just these 3 countries. Right? From the geology points, do you know what is the the boundary between the North America and the South America? That's high school, right? Or maybe middle school. Which country divide the North and the South America? Mexico. Huh? Who? Mexico. I don't know this country's name. Is that a small country?
He said Mexico.
Mexico. Oh, Mexico. It's not a small country. No, it's not Mexico. Mexico is definitely belong to North America. I think that why in US, I can see many students confused, okay, North American and South, because we have this one, right? We have North American, NAFTA. It only includes 3 countries. But for the geology part, Panama is the country divide the North and the South America. So you think about many countries, you heard about small countries like Guatemala and Cuba. They are all belong to North America. They are all belong to North America. Honduras, they belong to North America. Not just US, Canada, and Mexico, right? So I hope my students, right, you should know better about the water geology, right? Okay, and general agreements of tariffs and trade. US-China has the Trade Relation Act, European Union, WTO. What does WTO mean?
World Trade
Organization, very good. They already have like 160 countries in that organization. So it's a world organization. So those agreements, why these agreements make the globalization attractive?
Expand your market.
It's expanding pockets. That's right. Any other reason? You can easily go to some other country to sell your products now.
Cost of manufacturing.
Cost, right? Because the tariff or some tax reduction, if you are under the same agreement, then you can definitely decrease your cost. Another reason for the booming of globalization technology, right? Communication and information technology. Right? Well, information technology, well, we have high-speed internet, okay, on-time data transmission, communication. You guys know more than me for the communication. How many apps you have in your cell phone for communication? A lot, right? Yeah. I probably only have 2, but that's yeah, Facebook and another WeChat. You guys must have Snapchat. Everybody, right? Everybody, right? Except you and me, right? So we are in the different world.
Right.
You guys use Twitter? No? Nobody uses Twitter? Facebook, right? Everybody uses Facebook. I also have Facebook. I didn't use. I check my Facebook now like once per month, something like that. So, but anyway, I still have that. Anybody use WhatsApp? WhatsApp? Nobody use WhatsApp? Anything else you use? Instagram, yeah. Always forget about it because I never take pictures, so that's not so attractive for me as well. But, yeah. Well, if you don't like to take a picture, probably it's not good for you, right? Okay, you can see this. Many of you have so many apps for communication. Well, when you use this app like Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, do you have friends overseas? Do you have friends overseas? Maybe that's friends you never met, right? It's overseas, right? So it's kind of easy to make friends or make good communication between different countries. So you can see it's changing our world. Then nowadays still somebody think, okay, we should prevent globalization. Well, I would think about, okay, maybe many people don't like globalization, I understand, because it is, especially US, right? We lose a lot of jobs because of globalization, right? But the problem is, can we really prevent it? I would think it's impossible to prevent that. We probably can slow down the pace, right? To like new presidents have some new idea, right? To slow down the pace. But that's maybe possible. But to fully prevent that is really, really hard. And then it's require us to adjust for the globalization if you are doing the business. The benefit, think about, okay, even you don't like, you still want to know what's the benefits you can get if you expand your business globally. Right? You can earn big market share globally, not now in just Robinson County. You can save a lot of costs. You can benefit from a legal or regulation. Why this can be a benefit? Legal regulation. You did business in another country. Why this can be a benefit? Well, there's foreign countries, legal things and regulations. Why this can be a benefit for you?
You could have like less labor cost or like less environmental restrictions.
Yes, very good. You already mentioned 2 important things. One obvious thing is environment, right? Especially in US, many industry, we just forbid this industry. Okay, we don't do that. Or some industry with high pollution, we still allow you to do that, but the cost is very expensive, especially penalty cost. But for many developing countries, unfortunately, or maybe fortunately for company, they don't have this regulation, or the regulation is not so high, then you can easily satisfy. And the labor cost is another thing, right? We have the minimum wage, okay, nationwide and also statewide, right? Do we have minimum wage statewide? Do we have that? No?
We just follow the national.
Oh, just national? Okay. I think some states they also have that.
States,
Yeah, some states have that.
Washington,
Yeah.
California.
Okay. Yeah, that's it. Liberal states they have. So, but anyway, many countries they don't have the minimum wage. Like China, we didn't have that 10 years ago, but we have that now, minimum wage. But it's still not comparable to United States. So you can benefit from that cheap labor. Well, that's concrete problem. For example, Walmart, right? They go global. They have some young people to do their business, well, it's not adults. And then they have problems back to US for their image, for their public relations. And you have 13 years old guy, boy, to do the cashier in some country. But anyway, if you follow the regulation in a foreign country, you may benefit a lot. Financial benefits. How can we benefit from this part? Financial part. We go globally. Why we can have financial benefits? What kind of financial benefits we can get?
Labor costs can go
Yeah,
down.
because definitely money, yeah. But yeah, it's not really financial. It's like operation costs.
Lower or no taxes.
Tax. You mentioned tax? Yeah, it can be. It can be. Well, we talk finance is a broad finance, right? Any money we bring is called finance, right? But if we focus on finance, think about Laramide. Let's maybe bet Laramide this time. You think about, if you sell products in Britain, which money you get back? Pounds, right? If you sell products in Japan, which money you get back? Yen, right? Then what are the benefits? Do you see the benefits here?
Currency exchange is higher than the dollar.
Currency exchange is one thing, but the hedge of risk is the most important thing. Because the currency can change every day.
Right.
Sometimes you lose money because the US dollar is very strong. But recent 2 months, US dollar is very weak. Then you are happy because you have pounds, you have yens every day. But generally speaking, if you only sell in US States, you really depends on the currency rates of US dollar. Okay, and then it can be strong, it can be weak, especially after recession. We can see US dollar is not as stable as before. That is affects your company a lot because think about it, even you sell all the product in US, most likely you still have supplier of the world. Then you have to pay the local currency, local money, right, to buy something. You have machine in different place, right? Then this currency change can affect your business a lot. So that's the financial benefit, one thing. Okay, disadvantage. There are lots of disadvantages. Something we don't mention here. Right? That's first one, transportation costs. Right? I think it's pretty obvious. Right? If you go do business overseas, usually you have higher transportation. Except, right, if you go to Texas, you have a site in Mexico. It's much cheaper. You have a site in North Carolina. Right? Have you guys ever traveled to the boundary, like Texas boundary between U.S. and Mexico? Anybody? Nobody has traveled? I traveled once. Before I joined UNC Pembroke, I have an interview in a university called the University of Pan American, which is the university Dr. Gonzalez graduates. You know Dr. Gonzalez, right? So I had an interview on that university. It's the city called McLean. It's in the boundary. It's very interesting, that city, because first, I can tell that I would think 80% of people in that city speak Spanish. 80%. Well, it seems I'm like idiots. I can only speak English and Chinese, right? Because many times I don't understand what people are talking about. Right? And then another interesting thing is Walmart. That city is not compatible with Mexico chain. I forgot the name. Right? It's very famous Mexico, like grocery chain. Walmart can't compete with them. And the third thing is that's the only time when I travel in United States, I went to the airports, they need to check my passport. I said, why? I have the driver license. Why you need my passport? Luckily, I do bring my passport. Right? If I forget, then they don't allow me to travel back. So why I need a passport to travel? This is the domestic flight. Have you ever need a passport to travel domestically? You? No, right? But that's because it's in the boundary. You understand why? But they have this requirement. But if you go to the boundary from U.S. Mexico, that's at least at that city, the department chair tell me, okay, go to that highway. Nobody will prevent you. Many people live in Mexico and commute to United States, like Monday to Friday, and spend a weekend in Mexico. Nobody check. So you can think about that. It can be benefits from the trade, right? So then if you have this site in Mexico, you pay lower tax, cheaper labor, the shipping cost is very low, and you don't have, I really doubt you have any tariff or something like that. Right? So that can be benefit. But most likely, if you do go overseas, okay, the transportation cost is higher. Security costs, okay, especially London, right? Yesterday, London has a terrorist attack again.
Oh,
in
yeah,
the
I
subway, right? So now the security cost is way expensive. So you definitely want to consider that. You don't want to go to some unstable regional country. Unskilled labor. We heard a lot of complaints about the quality. When we do outsourcing, okay, when we go globally, our quality drop a lot. When usually it's because of unskilled labor. Import restriction. What does this mean? Import restriction.
Some countries set boundaries or numbers of what you can actually take in, or they'll set a tariff or a
Yes.
cost on it.
Yes. Yeah. For example, U.S. sets a quota for China, like your clothes, right? Your socks, your shoes. What's the quota you get each year, right? And then Chinese government will assign a quota to different company. So even you are a U.S. company, you make the clothes in China, now you can't come back to U.S. because your quota is like only 1%. That's not good, right? Criticism we heard a lot, right? Especially in the last year, the election year, right? For location out of country, right? You need to take care of your public image in your own country. Except some company they really change. They change the company from one country to another country. Okay, that is a permanent decision. But if your roots is still here, you definitely need to think about okay your image, public relations. So that's very important too. Okay, that's the end of today's class. Any question about homework? Let me or Mike know. We will try to help.